I feel like I'm in a valley. All of a sudden I'm in a peak and I'm like, oh my gosh, talking to like 6
Or you go on
I'm taking a
vacation.
listing. Yes.
And then all of a sudden you get like 10 calls.
Yeah. And that happens like every single time.
Exactly. I'm like, damn, I need to go on vacation more often.
It used to be just something I heard someone say on stage and everybody would be like, yeah, that does happen. And I'm like, I'm not a realtor. I don't really understand. But now like it really happens.
It does. It does.
Weird.
So welcome to another episode of Get Real with Liz. And today I have a special guest, Joe. Joe, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and where you come from?
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Belmonte with the Belmonte Group under Case Real Estate, which is down south, but trying to expand to the Central Coast. My brother-in-law, Kevin Sturdivant, has a really big team down in SoCal, and then talked to me about 4 years ago. So I've been in the business 4 years.
Oh, nice.
And said I was moving back during COVID, and I'm like, I want to take my license with you, but I want to bring it to the Central Coast. And he's like, let's do it.
Right.
So that's what we do. I'm partners with my mother, Lisa. I think you know her.
Yeah.
She's been in the business for like 30 plus years. So I learn from her every single day.
Right.
She's basically like a mentor coach to me. And we've been rocking and rolling for 4 years. It's been fun selling a lot of property in the Central Coast. What a beautiful place to sell real estate.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The best place, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to the Bay Area and down south, it's a little bit more affordable.
You get more for your money.
Yeah. And the weather, you can
It's
top the weather.
No traffic either.
Exactly. Well, a little bit of traffic here and there.
A little bit getting here today, but not too bad.
But we kind of already know which areas. So usually it's like Templeton, right where Home Depot is, or Napomo, or the Avila Ridge.
And what we think is traffic is like nothing to those types.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because LA, you said you were in down south, but LA area, it's like 10 miles for 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's not fun.
No way.
Right.
I'm going to be stuck in traffic for 3 hours.
It's not fun at all.
But anyway, so Joe, can you tell us what inspired you to get into real estate? You said that you just started 4 years ago.
So the big inspiration from me was I worked for a gentleman named Tom Ferry.
Who is Tom Ferry?
So Tom Ferry, if anybody doesn't know out there, is one of the nation's top, I would say the top real estate coach and trainer in all the world.
Right.
Basically like the Tony Robbins of real estate coaching and training.
So if you're a realtor and you don't know who Tom Robbins is, and Tom Ferry.
Tom Ferry. Yeah.
See, here I am doing. Anyways, if you don't know who they are, then you're not really a realtor.
Right. You probably don't have social media or ears or anything. Like he's everywhere.
Everywhere.
But yeah, so I worked for him for about 17 years. So a huge chunk of my life. I'm 39 now, turning 40 in September. And from like 17 to like my mid 30s, I worked for Tom. But it was...
You were a youngster.
Yeah, like right out of... went to Cuesta for a year and a half. And I was like, this is not for me. I got injured. I was on the wrestling team there. And then I was just like... surfing every day, having a ball,
right?
Paying $250 in rent, which is pretty good on the sand.
Can we get
Studio
that back?
Drive? Way back in the day, it was so fun. Split a room with a buddy, but I looked at myself. I was kind of getting into motivational, inspirational, starting to read books, then listening to stuff, and I had walked on the beach one morning, and I was like, do I want to do this party lifestyle that I'm doing for the rest of my life, surfing every day, not having any real responsibility? And when I say that out loud, I'm like, dang, that sounds kind of nice.
I was just going to say that. I was like, what?
However, I wanted more for myself.
Right.
I wanted to get married. I wanted to have the family. I wanted to buy a house. I wanted the American dream.
The stability.
Yeah. And during that time, like in, I don't know, what was that, 2005-ish, almost 2006, I was like, we were about to go through a recession right then. And there was not a lot of work in the Central Coast for me. So I got on the phone with my uncle, and I know he had just broken away from his father to start his own company. And I said,
can you say who your uncle is again?
Yeah, Tom Ferry. He's my uncle. I know I look blood related because of the fair skin and the hair. Right. But it's by marriage. My dad's little sister married Tom Ferry. Nice. So I've known him since I was a little kid, But I got on the phone with him and I said, hey, do you have any jobs. Like, I don't know. I don't even know how to sell. At that time, I didn't know how to talk to people, look at them in the face. I was terrified and very shy.
Right.
But I was like, I got to feel forward. I got to do something, you know? And he's like, get in your car, drive down here tomorrow, and you're going to interview with me. I had no idea what I was interviewing for, but I knew I had an opportunity. So I drove 4 hours the next morning all the way down to Newport Beach. And I went in there, and he's in a suit and tie. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so not like what I'm used to in an office. My first office I've ever been in, I think, was that. And we talked for a long time, and he kind of told me, like, I don't hire people your age. Like, yeah, I'm doing you a favor because you're my nephew, but you have no prior sales experience. Like, I worked at the Paso Robles Inn, and I was a busser.
Oh, wow.
You know, or I worked with my father, and I built and installed wood shutters. So I got to talk to a little bit people, but like, I just had no sales experience. So he kind of was very strict with me, very stern, and told me, like, this is an opportunity. If you F it up, like, you're gone.
Straight up.
Like, I'm not going to treat you differently at all. You're going to be like everybody else, which I liked and I respected. I didn't want to be like favored or anything like that, but I wanted a shot.
Right.
So he gave me a shot, and I was an appointment setter. I called people all day long. And by the way, just getting on the phone was terrifying. And I think a lot of salespeople experience that for the first time. And I got on the phone, and I just called real estate agents all day long, inviting them to seminars and also setting appointments for some of his coaching sales guys that would go on those appointments and then enroll them into their coaching program. So I did that for probably 2 years, just cutting my teeth, getting rejected over and over, hang up. Got to a point where it was kind of like a game. It was fun for me.
Right.
Didn't care. Built my thick skin, kind of cut my teeth on it, and got promoted eventually to like just ticket sales guy. And I did that for a couple of years, traveled the country, got a great opportunity to see the United States. I think I've been to almost every single state, minus like, I would say Alaska and maybe one other, like doing seminars, building the business. This is Tom's like first 4 years. Like
he was going strong.
Yeah, we would drive. I was his driver too. I would drive to let's call it a Remax office, and there would be like 10 older women in the room, and he'd present to them, and we'd sell like 5 tickets, you know, and that was over and over 5 to 6 to 7 times a week. We'd drive, and then I'd be on the phone prospecting, trying to sell tickets, nonstop sales. And so I developed a lot of great sales skills, a lot of great tendencies, a lot of great closing ability, and building rapport and stuff like that. All those things that help build a great salesperson. And eventually I got to become a coaching salesperson, which is like, that was the position to be if you wanted to make money in the business as a salesperson and kind of go in different arcs in the different verticals within the company. So I was really excited. I got a girlfriend. We were dating for a while, off and on, breaking up, get back together. So that was all going on in my personal life in the background. And we eventually got pregnant.
Wow.
So that
changed everything.
Was a game changer.
Right.
So for the listeners out there, if you want to get really motivated and really inspired,
have a baby.
Like beyond reading a book or going to a seminar, have a baby. Because you will show up to work with a purpose.
Oh yeah.
And I started waking up earlier, reading books. I was like, I got to provide for my newborn son, Brody, who was later born in 2014. But that really lit a fire under my butt to become not just a salesperson, but a great salesperson. And that
was your why.
That was my huge why and driving why. You got to have a why. And that I had my whys, like I wanted to buy this car and I wanted to have great credit and I wanted to save X amount of money, etc. But then I had a big why, right? A real concrete why. So that drove me every single day to get on the phone and be the best salesperson. And for a while, I was like the top salesperson in the company.
Oh, wow.
And back then, if you're enrolling, 20-ish people, 25-ish people in a month, you're making a really great paycheck, and you have a trajectory that's going to be pretty high in the company. You're starting to get noticed by upper management, et cetera.
Right.
So I did that for a while, and then I became a team leader, and then they finally put a couple other salespeople under me, and I taught them what I know, held them accountable, because accountability is a huge part.
Oh, yeah.
If you're doing the things you say you're going to do, and someone's holding you accountable to those things, magic can happen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that was probably for a
It's
year. Consistency for sure. And I did that for, I don't know, a year and a half. Then I became a manager, and I was managing this group of people, that a ticket sales team, a appointment setting team, and a coaching sales team. So I'm analyzing all that. Now I'm looking at the numbers. Now I'm not just looking at sales. I'm looking at how many leads per month, how many leads come in that show up.
Your mindset shifted.
Yeah, it was like those same skills, but in a different way. It shifted. Right. So I looked at all that, and I was analyzing the sales funnel basically. Like I said, the leads that came in, the leads that we had a connection with, how many of those actually set an appointment, how many of those appointments closed, all these close ratios and stuff like that. So I got really good at it after a while, and it was fun. And I went all the way as far as being the vice president of sales for the organization. And I had probably, I'd say at one point, like 60 to almost 70 salespeople under me. And we started building a team in Texas. So I'd fly out to Texas and build a team and hire, interview process, train, put a manager in place, train them, how to train the other people. It just trickled down. And it was really fun. It was fun. Excuse me. Sorry about that. It was really fun to be a part of it, because I saw it from the very beginning to where going into small little offices where only 5 to 10 people would show up. So now we're going in, there's 8,000 people showing up to these events, right? So seeing that guy's evolution was inspiring to see a business flourish and hit road bumps along the way, but just hit that J curve of poof, success.
Skyrocket.
So yeah, that was a huge part of my life. And Tom, it was like a college education I could have never asked for. It was an incredible experience. I'm so grateful for my relationship still with him today. I'm going to go see him next month, 4th of July, down in Newport Beach with my grandmother, who's turning like 98 years old.
Oh, wow.
Lola Belmonte. But very, very grateful for that experience. It made me who I am. A lot of my life is the success I have in my life I dedicate to Tom. My uncle Steve also was a huge influence on myself as far as being a great salesperson, but had a lot of great mentors in my life.
Right. And you come from a well-known family here too. They have the Belmonte shutters.
Yeah.
Which, one of your dad and your uncle were my clients at one point. And, you were mentioning at the beginning when you were doing the phone calling, right? Mm-hmm. And prospecting. Can you elaborate a little bit on, how people are constantly hanging up on you or saying no? What did you do to change your mindset as far as to get closer to that yes?
Right. Well, I mean, just what you said, I was always in my head, I'm one no closer to a yes.
Right.
So rejection became something I was searching for.
Right.
I wanted to fail forward as fast as
you
possible.
can, so that you can get closer to that.
Like people would hang up on me or tell me no, and I'd be like, thank you. Next.
Bye. Next.
But yeah, it was built over time. It wasn't something that was natural for me. I mean, I don't think anybody likes rejection. But when you get comfortable in it in a sales world, you don't take things personal.
Right.
I'm coming
you
at
just
it,
accept it and move on.
And I'm also coming at it as I'm trying to serve people. I'm trying to help people. Who am I going to help today?
Correct.
I'm not going to be able to help everybody.
Right.
But maybe there's the 3, 4, 5, 6 people today that I connect with, that I have a great conversation with, that I impact them with the right type of questions that causes them to think and take action in their life. And in that course or in that space, it was, I'm going to invest in myself to go to this seminar. I'm going to invest in myself to sign up for a coaching program today because I'm not okay with where my life or my business is, right?
Right.
But yeah, just going back to the rejection. Rejection is everywhere in life.
Right.
Let's be real.
Right.
It's everywhere we look. And
that's why we're keeping it real here.
That's right. I like it. But rejection is something that you got to get comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And I think you said it perfect right before you even asked the question is I was one no closer to the yes. So that mindset sticks with me today. Because I call expires.
Right.
Do you call expired listings?
I haven't. That's one thing that I haven't done. I should. Yeah. I just haven't really focused on that. A lot of my clients have been word of mouth referrals.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's really working out for me. So I just been focusing on that.
Well, that must be nice.
Yes.
Because you're an amazing realtor.
Thank you.
So I focus on generating new business. I also love word of mouth and referrals and stuff like that. And I get my fair share of that as well. But I focus on that pillar and I getting good at it because it makes me feel that edge.
Right.
It reminds me of being with Tom Ferry, or the Ferry organization. I was making the phone calls, and there's people that are, when you're calling expireds, they're pissed. They chose the wrong realtor. They didn't market it. They priced it incorrectly. They never did an open house, etc. Oh, you guys are terrible.
Right. Exactly.
And I have to break through that.
Right.
And also I have to deal with a lot of rejection.
Right.
Because they have a bad taste in their mouth.
Right.
So
and like everything in life, when you have a bad experience, especially like us being realtors, we get clients that have been, told that they can't buy a house unless they have a big chunk of money and stuff like that. So we constantly have to break through all this nonsense that other people have fed them.
Right.
And it kind of just piggybacks to everything.
Yeah, we have to be like the knowledge brokers.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Because they do have a lot of misconceptions of how things should be done or can be done, et cetera. But yeah, I have no fear of talking to anyone now. And going back to when I was 19 years old, when I went on that job interview, I completely did.
Right.
I mean, I was afraid to talk to anybody.
Yeah, because you said you were only 17 years old.
19.
Oh, 19. 19
years old. Right out of high school, basically. A little bit of college, and just went right down there. And I could not, I didn't want to ask anybody for help in department stores. I didn't want to look at the waiter. It was just too much. I just was like, let's go.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I love people.
Right.
And I like to look them in the face when I talk to them.
Right.
And I love building relationships. And
that's important.
That's a big difference from what I was doing before. Although I do have long-lasting relationships that I still keep in contact with people today of Tom's clients, realtors all over the country that I know that we still keep in touch, whether it's texting, phone call, or social media. That was more of a transactional based sale. So it's like, I'm calling you, I make the sale, I might never talk to you again. I might see you at a seminar, but I might never talk to you.
Yeah, because you're kind of like a appointment setter.
Right. I'm more of just like a machine gun, like phone, next.
Yeah.
Now it's, as you know, you get your business from referral. Yeah. It's relationship based. Oh, yeah. You got to connect with people.
And not only with our clients, but with other agents and other loan officers and stuff like that, because whether we like it or not, we've talked about this in previous podcasts, that we are going to have to do business with that realtor at one point. Yeah. Either they have a listing or they have a buyer. So it's building those relationships. Relationships is key.
Yeah, relationships matter big time.
Oh yeah, for sure. So what made you get out of that business, and did you go into real estate right after that, or did you do something else in between?
Yeah, no, I went right into real estate. So what made me get into real estate was helping realtors for 17 years become massively successful, and knowing in my heart who I was as a man, first off, and knowing that I think I was only 36, 35 at the time. So I was like, what can I do before I turn 40? What can I achieve? And that's just a number. Age is just a number, but it was just like a milestone in my mind. And I'm helping entrepreneurs, right? I was not an entrepreneur myself. I worked for a company, a very successful company that helped entrepreneurs. And I kind of got hooked into that. And all my friends were realtors, but I wasn't a real estate agent. I was just a sales guy. Just yet. So I did some soul searching and had a hard conversation with Tom. It was emotional because he's almost like a father figure to me. Right. But he loves me and he wished me 100% success and wished me well. And he had to make a decision back in the day of leaving his father's company. He was the president of that company. He was making crazy money and doing very, very well. And if he never would have left that, he would have been doing just fine. But he took a chance. And I wanted to take a chance for myself and my life and for my family and see what I could do. I want to see what Joe Belmonte could do on his own. So I did it. And but I didn't do it by myself. I had my mom. And we formed a team, the Belmonte Group. And we've been jamming. And she's got a lot of the past client relationship stuff. And I do also do that stuff too, but I also focus a lot on new business as much as I can. I'll do door knocking, I'll do expireds, etc. And I couldn't have done that if I didn't work for Tom. If I didn't work for the just so happened to work for the #1 real estate trainer company in the world.
Right.
I don't think I'd be knocking on doors of strangers all the time and introducing myself and getting invited into houses. And, wow.
Strangers, complete strangers.
Yeah, but it's fun.
But talking about door knocking, you know, and calling expires or calling, you know, following up or cold calling, you know, a lot of the times people nowadays, a lot of agents feel entitled, right? Like where's my lead? You know, they want to go work for a company and they're like, where's my lead? Can you express a little bit why it's important to do grassroots and door knocking, open houses, you know, because I see you doing open houses and.
Yeah. First off, it's sweat equity. So
exactly. That's what I always say.
And it doesn't cost you any money. It's your time, right? So
time is money.
Time is money. Time is a very valuable asset. But like, what can I do with my time? I can work on script and dialogue and know what to say and how to say it when someone says, you know, how's the market or whatever kind of questions they have, and be able to naturally and easily answer that where it almost doesn't sound like a script, it just sounds natural.
Right.
And I think it's, important to just always connect with new people. There's always going to be the people, because if you do your job at the highest level, you're going to get a referral from that client.
Right.
Obviously, you need to keep tapping into your database and saying, hey, how's it going every quarter, and talk with them and do parties and client parties, etc. But it's important to continue focusing on new business, I think, as well. Part of your business should always be that. Expireds for sale by owners, etc. Get a lot of business from open houses and stuff like that. But it keeps your edge sharp, right? I feel like that too. Like, I don't want to pay for leads.
Right.
I haven't paid for leads, and I don't plan on doing that unless there's like some crazy thing that's
right. Same here.
You know, whatever. But like, I haven't spent money on Zillow or anything like that. Like, I'm focused on sweat equity activity and consistency. You brought that up earlier. Like, if I could just be consistent, if I could outwork people, then I can build a beautiful business.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Anybody that's consistent and does the work, because you can say you're going to do this and that, but then nothing gets done. Right. So every time that you pick up the phone, you know, it's an opportunity there for a potential client.
Absolutely.
Or even at the gas station, my kids get all upset at me. They're like, can we already?
Chatting with everybody.
I'm just a social butterfly. Everywhere I go. Actually, in Santa Maria earlier today, I was in the middle of something, and then another client, a lady, is like asking me questions about the real estate market. Of course, I'm going to take advantage of any opportunity.
Everybody's a lead, right?
Exactly. Right. Everyone. Yep. And then, you know, you were talking about the pillars. You know, different pillars. A lot of our people that are listening probably don't understand, but it is important to have different, it's kind of like having eggs in different baskets and not putting all your eggs in one basket. So you do have, you know, cold calling, expires,
open houses. I work my database.
Yeah.
Do social media as much as I can.
Mailers.
I do some of that.
Door knocking.
And door knocking. And those are my main, like, pillars, so to speak. And then you just got to stay consistent with it. And there's going to be times where you're just like, wow, that was a rough week.
It was a rough week. And then all of a sudden you get a listing and then it's rewarding.
And I feel like real estate has its ebbs and flows, right? Like, and I think it's funny, like Tom used to talk about this a lot on stage. And I find it now being a realtor that it does happen. It actually happens. Is like, I'll be on vacation or I'll be at a wrestling tournament. I'm also a wrestling coach. And I'll get clients blowing up my phone. I'm like, oh gosh, I wish I was there right now. I want to show you the property right now. Good thing I have a partner. But like, it's like it ebb and flows. When I feel like I'm in a valley, all of a sudden I'm in a peak, and I'm like, oh my gosh, talking to like 6 buyers.
Or you go on vacation.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you get like 10 calls.
Yeah. And that happens like every single time.
Exactly. I'm like, damn, I need to go on vacation more often.
It used to be just something I heard someone say on stage, and everybody would be like, yeah, that does happen. And I'm like, I'm not a realtor. I don't really understand. But now, like, it really happens.
It does. It's does.
Weird. It's like
I'm
the real estate
what?
gods do that.
Yeah. And then you mentioned about wrestling. You know, can you tell us a little bit about, you know, I see on Instagram.
Yeah.
What's your Instagram name?
Yeah, so I branded myself the Wrestling Realtor.
See, that's why I tell everybody have your niche.
Yeah.
What are you good at?
So, my wife pushed me to do that, and I
Good
didn't
for
want
her.
to. I didn't want to do it. Now I'm like, I'm happy I did it.
Yeah.
Because
Because now you get distinguished.
Yeah, and people bring it up too in conversation and stuff like that. But yeah, wrestling is a huge part of my life. I coach right now for Atascadero High School, and we also just started a club team, Origin Training Center in Paso Robles, right off Union Road. And we got about 70 kids right now coming in, girls and boys. Girls wrestling is huge.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the number one fastest growing sport in America right now.
Right.
And yeah, we got about 70 kids. They're all hardworking from ages 5 to like I'd say 8. We have a novice class Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 to 6, and high school from also Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 7:30. So that's 15 to 18, almost 19 years old. And then we have a elite class where these are the kids that are like going to tournaments.
Oh, wow.
And that's the big bulk of our class. And we're just giving back, that sport. On top of what Tom did for me, wrestling created this discipline as well. And my ability to endure those rejections and those hot days, door knocking. And, I haven't set appointment in a week and a half. What's going on with me? I can endure that. Wrestling is a tough sport. Not everybody signs up for that.
Oh, I know. I have my stepdaughter. She actually made it to state finals for wrestling from Santa Maria. And I was like, yeah. So woman out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Santa Maria High School?
Santa Maria High School.
Where's she now?
She's in Santa Maria.
Wow. What's her name?
Her name is Tiffany Santana.
Yeah, because there's another gal. Her nickname is China. She's dating one of my alumni guys from Atascadero, and she wrestled at Santa Maria, did very well, and then she wrestled D2 in college, and now she's moved back, and I think she's working for the Santa Maria School District, and she's trying to move over here. I'm trying to recruit her to become a girls coach for us.
Oh, well, maybe we can connect.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, this was a few years back.
We had a wrestling connection.
Yeah, see? It's an energy.
That's cool.
Joe, I know that you've been resilient and you pivoted, but what keeps you motivated? Because, we as agents, the market is falling apart, the rates went up, there's always something. What keeps you motivated on a daily basis?
I think it goes back to something Tom instilled in me is being grateful. So I try to stay in a state of gratitude. I try to write down things that I, on a daily basis, if I can, if it's not every day, it's once a week or every other day, I'm writing down what I want to attract into my life. I'm a big follower of law of attraction and stuff like that. So
me too.
I like to write things down, the things I want to attract into my life, the things I want to accomplish in my life, and constantly reinforce and look at and write down my goals.
All right.
Whether it's a financial goal, whether it's a health goal, or a cool vacation I want to take my family on. I'm constantly looking and reflecting on those because if I don't have my North Star, I don't have a rudder and I don't know what I'm doing. So if I can
you're all over the place.
Yeah, if I can constantly be locked in on that, and it takes discipline. It
does.
It also helps to hire a coach or have like my wife for
accountability.
Yeah, she keeps me accountable, and she's a transaction coordinator and a realtor as well.
Oh wow!
If you ever need a TC, I'm sure you already have one, but if you ever need another one, she's great at it, and she's always
it's good to know
calling me out and making sure I'm on my shit. So
right.
I appreciate her big time. But I think it's just going back to like always writing things down and staying committed to that. Because if you don't have goals, and like, what are you doing this for?
Right.
So, and then
like a reminder, it gives you a reminder of like, wait, why am I slacking over here? I need to refocus because these are my goals, you know?
Right. And I just try to stay in that state of gratitude all the time of being a servant. I want to serve people. I want to provide a really good service for people. I think I have a lot to offer a client, and I'm not going to be for everybody, but the people that I run into that I have a connection with, I'm going to give them 100%.
Right.
So
yeah, the lady that I was actually talking to earlier, she's like, we have to find our tribe, our people. Yep. You might know a lot of people in the business, but if the energy or doesn't match, then that's not a perfect fit.
You got a vibe.
Yeah, you got a vibe. And that's why I tell everybody, the sun shines bright on everyone. There's people that are going to like you, respect you, and do business with you. And there's going to be people that like me and respect me and will do business with me, and so on with other agents.
And there's enough business out there for everybody.
Exactly.
You just got to
Tons
keep
of
going,
it. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my motivation is just goals and writing them down on a consistent basis and just kind of being able to be visual. And when you write it down, it becomes real for you.
Right.
Like it's one thing to just say it, but if you write it down often enough, I even tell the kids in wrestling, like write down your goals. Like you want to be a CIF champ, you want to be a state champ, write it down daily.
And have some emotion with it as well. Because I was just talking about something like this when, we can say whatever we want, right? But if there's no emotion to it, I mean, look at you and I, right? We've been living for a while already. Yeah. Okay, we're like 40 years or whatever. Anyways, there's a lot of things that have gone through our lives, but we don't remember every single little thing. The only things that we remember are the things that have an emotion to it, whether it was you were angry, you were upset, you were sad, or you were happy. So that's why when they say, the law of attraction or manifestation, you have to feel it and have some kind of emotion. That way you're passionate about it.
I agree. Definitely.
Yeah. So see, there's another thing that,
Yeah, for sure.
that we have in common.
Have you ever been to a seminar?
Yes, I have. Actually, I was going to bring the little pamphlet that Tom signed.
Oh, cool.
And I was going to bring
Which one was it? Was it in down south or?
It was down south. It was in Anaheim.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Was it recent?
No, it was when I
was probably there then. Yeah.
You were probably there.
Was a summit?
Yeah, it was a summit.
Okay, yeah, that's the biggest and best.
Yeah, I went there. I told the story on one of my other podcasts. I was a first-time realtor in 2000. It was in 2019. Mm-hmm. And David Hubble, my broker back then, he had an incentive that whoever did the most sales, will go to the summit for free. Mm-hmm. And, we can all buy the tickets or whatever. Sure. But still, it was kind of like a motivational thing for me. And I was like determined to go see Tom Ferry. Mm-hmm. And so I did. I became the top producer and I won tickets to the Tom Ferry. And
right on.
It was an amazing experience.
You walk out of that event like on fire.
Oh my gosh,
right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was wondering if he's doing one.
I'll share my picture.
Oh yeah, he's doing one in Fresno, I think, coming up. I'm gonna try to make that one.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, those events, like obviously you're gonna walk out with tools and tips and skills.
Not just tools and tips, but you can feel the energy.
Right.
Like all the top producing agents are in that room, and they're all excited, and that excitement comes in, mm-hmm. With everything. So it's kind of.
Yeah, and then
it's an experience that everybody has to.
The energy is infectious, and the relationships you can build there with referral partners, and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So it's very powerful too.
Well, thank you, Joe, for coming into my podcast today.
You're welcome.
Is there anything that you would like to share as a quote or inspiration for our followers, and also where can they reach you at if they have any real estate questions, or if they want you to help them mentor them, or anything that has to do with real estate or wrestling, or manifestation.
Sure. A quote. I don't know.
Or some kind of advice.
No, I mean I always default to wrestling for myself. Right. There's a quote by Dan Gable: "Once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy." Mm-hmm. I think about that when I prospect. I think about that when I'm failing. I think about that when I get rejection. Because that sport gave me the wherewithal to like overcome all that stuff. Right. So that's something that I hold on to. I talk about it in my club with all the kids and my own kid. And then if you want to reach me, you can reach me at joe@casere.com. Case is KASERE.com. And then also my wrestling program that we're starting. It's not started. We had a grand opening. It was called Tacos and Takedowns. I should have invited you. I'm sorry.
Where was the invite at?
Yeah, you'll get the next one. We're going to do an annual party. We're going to have a big poker tournament. I'll invite you to. Okay. If you play poker at all. Okay. You'll have to learn if you don't. Okay.
Actually, Tom Bartlett, he's
I know Tom.
In San Jose right now.
Yeah, he's a big
in a tournament right
Texas
now.
Hold'em guy.
Yep.
But yeah, you can reach me at Origin Training Center @gmail.com, or just go to origintrainingcenter.com and check me out. And I'm the Wrestling Realtor on Instagram. You can always check me out.
That's right. And he couldn't finish it better with the wrestling quote because he's a wrestling realtor.
That's how I do it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.